Ilia Topuria has to be on International Fight Week. They got to figure this out, in my opinion. They've got to figure it out.
They can't take 2 L's here. They can't take 2 L's here on Ilia, Islam, and come on.
It's got to be the showcase for him. It has to be. They put Conor in that spot. They put Izzy in that spot. They've always tried to put the guy in that spot. Does anyone? Islam versus Ilia, to me, is very close to Jones versus Aspinall in terms of fight that the world wants to see and that I want to see and that we all want to see.
It's massive.
But Ilia versus Charles ain't that bad. Ultimately, you have Ilia there. I think that Ilia versus Charles, Ilia versus Islam is a no-brainer. Ilia versus Charles is bigger than Khamzat versus DDP, is bigger than Khamzat versus Caio Borralho. Do you guys agree?
Definitely the Caio fight. Yeah. And more than likely the DDP fight, because when you I was going to say, when it comes to star power, the star power drop off from Islam to Charles is not much, man. Like it is barely there. DDP to Caio is probably that, and honestly, DDP and Caio is sort of here, whereas Islam and Charles are massive. I mean, you could make the argument that Ilia Topuria, like, is he the B side in either of those fights when it comes to star power? Charles and Islam?
At the moment, I would say yeah.
Yeah,
like he could be the B side.
His ceiling is limitless. The ceiling is limitless at the moment. Like if he beat Islam, like we don't even like the conversation's over at this point. He's the biggest thing the UFC's got by a country mile. I'd almost like at that point start thinking about like, is he entering McGregor territory? But I do think like right now Charles has more cachet, at least with the fan base. He's just been doing it longer. He's somebody who's been in their lives for that long, and I would not have it above DDP and Khamzat, but I would have it above nearly anything else. I think that's one specific matchup that gets there. But outside of John and Tom, Ilia versus Charles and Ilia versus Islam are as good as you can possibly do.
How do we get to Ilia versus Charles?
How do we get to Ilia versus Charles? Basically, we get to Ilia versus Charles if A, JDM wins.
Okay.
Right? Then I think Islam is gone. Islam has talked about how, the weight cuts have been a little extreme. I personally think there's one fight left for him at 155, and it is Ilia. But you could also offer the excuse of, or the retort, the rebuttal that, hey, like you can keep saying that. There'll be another guy. He really has done it all at 155, especially as of late in terms of defending the title and taking on all comers, including the featherweight champion twice. So, as we said, they're either going to wait till May 10th or they'll say, like, we need a main event. By the way, the same way they needed a main event for Miami, they needed a title fight for Miami, they got the belt off of Ilia, they could do the same with Islam.
So does that mean it would be for a vacated title?
Yeah.
I'm into that.
I don't believe for a second here's what I feel is, and maybe I'll regret this one. The next time we see Ilia Topuria fight, it is for an undisputed title.
Okay.
The question is it going to be against Islam for the actual undisputed or the vacant undisputed?
Yeah, the Miami situation.
It's really the Miami situation all over again. Yeah. It's crazy.
If the Charles fight is made, the Islam fight is not happening. That's
at least not in the near future.
It's not happening.
Is there any chance it's for contendership? They just go, you get the next crack at Islam.
Why do we keep doing it? Like, it's just fucking, it's right there. Either do it or don't. It's just these conversations.
I get that, but on the sidelines.
This is hinging on Islam's plans, and I think he's earned that. If I'm being honest, I think he has earned the right. This is not John Jones, right? Let's just be clear about Islam. Islam is not somebody who is trying to like have a little bit of cake and eat it.
No, that's
He's
fair.
not trying to sit out.
Fair.
He wants to fight, but he wants to potentially take an opportunity at the 170-pound belt. I think he deserves that opportunity. Now, here's where I'd push back. Here's my one issue with the Islam stuff. Fight Bilal too. Don't give me this bullshit about like we trained together one time. Fight Bilal. Like,
one time. Give it to them.
But seriously, because Bilal's going to be in the fucking mix, like anyway, right? So
Bilal
if he goes
might be there.
Well, I was just going to say, and all of Islam's plans hinge on the performance of Bilal Muhammad at UFC 315 next month.
Yeah,
it is a little crazy.
So all of International Fight Week hinges on how Bilal Muhammad performs in Montreal.
Yes,
against Jack Della Maddalena.
By the way,
the MMA world waits
in a fight that wasn't even like the original plan.
Right.
Where have you gone, Shavkat Rahman?
Yeah. In a fight against Jack Della Maddalena, who like entered the fray out of nowhere. And so this idea of like they won't fight each other, I get it. I'm okay with like the respect of this, but like at a certain point, that is the guy that is holding the belt that you want. And so are you gonna go get it or not? Or are you just gonna forever wait until somebody dethrones Bilal? Like just go fight Bilal. He's not in the gym with you guys. He comes in, he trains. Like we see Kaio and Hamzat, they've trained together and they're talking about fighting. They're building something up. Let's just see the fight. If 170-pound gold is what Islam ultimately wants, fight either of them. Fight Jack or fight Bilal.
I'm actually surprised that at no point Dana has said, like, Dana gets mad when Merab and Aljo won't entertain the idea of fighting each other, when GSP Rory wouldn't entertain, when Koscheck and Fitch wouldn't entertain. And a lot of those were just sort of like fictitious, like, what if X, Y, and Z happens, would you entertain? It was never, they need to make a decision. DC, Kane, etc. Make the call.
But those guys were actual teammates. Those guys were actually in the same gym with each other every single training session. Merab and Aljo are in the gym together every single time. And so, maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe Bilal is overtraining with these guys, but like when I see the videos of Islam, Habib, Umar, like he's not there. He's sometimes there, but it seems more like he's popping in the same way somebody would.
This is a quote from last July, right after Bilal got the belt. He said, this is Bilal speaking, "I would never fight Islam Makhachev 100%. And then he said, but honestly, he'd go up to 185 and beat DDP right now. It's like ridiculous.
I wouldn't fight him either.
But Islam said this on fighting Bilal Muhammad. He said, I don't know, brother. We have the same manager. We'll do something. We'll see.
So
honestly, not as adamant. Not as adamant.
Who cares about
Bilal is the one that
manager. Who gives a fuck about the manager?
Honestly,
thing?
like honestly,
well,
it should make the fight easy.
Cheeto and Mario Bautista have the same manager, and they're fighting each other. I know it's not the same stakes, but like this happens.
Ian Gary and Sean Brady have the same manager. They not like each other at all.
The manager thing is ridiculous, but it to me it sounds more like Bilal will not fight Islam.
I wouldn't
as
either.
the opposed.
I'll tell you what, I wouldn't fight Islam either.
Bilal's like, no, man, just go up to 185. Beat DDP right now.
I wouldn't fight him either.
Dana White never gave it the, it's 100% or anything like that with Ilia and Islam. I think I've probably, because of my want for both of those fights, I've been kind of putting them in the same basket in that regard until Rick said that there. I mean, you're right. Islam does deserve to have a look at pastures new. I guess he's fought Volkanovski twice. He's kind of thinking, what's it going to do for my legacy beating another featherweight champion? And there's the fact that the UFC, like they did with Tom and John, haven't promised this to us, all those months ago. So I guess it is a different situation. It's a different.
Why can't they call up Islam and say, look, we've got International Fight Week. The same way this came up in the talks leading up to Miami. We've got International Fight Week. You want to headline it against Ilia? Here you go. Here's the big marquee, right? You don't? We need to take that belt away, just like we took Ilia's belt away, and we need to make Ilia versus Charles for the vacant title. Why can't that happen?
It seems like it can.
Ilia gave his belt up.
No, but they
took that belt. Come on. They took that belt.
I guess the argument is that like Ilia doesn't care who he fights at 155 as long as it's for the title, whereas there's this belief that Islam refuses to fight against Bilal. And it just all comes down to Montreal next month.
What a marquee event.
Jack Della Maddalena has a chance to like really shake up the entire UFC.
New prediction. We don't get International Fight Week until the night of UFC 315. Dana goes to the
You think so? Piece of paper?
All right, tonight the gate was $22 million. Islam Ilia International Fight Week. Who's got the first question?
Because Bilal wins.
By the way, there's a very good chance that they have told Charles, hey, just prepare for June 28th.
Probably.
If X, Y, and Z happens, you'll be fighting this person. If X, Y, and Z happens, you'll be fighting that person. Hey, Ilia, you're going to be fighting for a belt, but X, Y, and Z happens, you're fighting this guy, X, Y, and Z. And then we officially announce it to the world on May 11th. They'll probably sell the tickets. Again, I feel for the people who, have plane tickets, have hotels, have things of that nature. Hopefully it's one of those where you can cancel it if you're not happy with it a week out as opposed to prepaying the whole thing. But there's a very good chance that happens.
Here's the part.
The reason I say this is there's a very good chance those guys are preparing right now.
Right.
They're just not quite sure who specifically, but they're all they're obviously not the same fighter, but it's not like one's a supreme striker and the other's a supreme grappler, right? Islam, Charles.
They're good at everything. Best of luck, lads. Prepare for a random opponent for your world title fight. Go for it.
I'll say this.
Opponent? Just play the music on Fight Night?
I don't mind that.
Oh, I love that.
I would fucking like that.
This is the part that sucks. I would rather see Charles versus Ilya than I would rather see Islam.
Yeah, okay, now you lost. Now the whole.
I'm just calling it.
Talking.
I think Islam would walk through Ilya.
Cut the mic, Frank.
Truly.
This is wild.
I don't see Ilya being competitive with Islam, whereas I think Charles is an actual fight. That's my take.
The intrigue. I
have no intrigue on that.
But what if Ilia Topuria?
Yes. Moving up from 145.
Islam will beat him up.
You think he'll kill him?
He's too small.
No.
He's too
What
small.
if it gets into deep waters? Deep waters,
but he
fourth,
might
fifth.
not.
He can't make that cut anymore, Rick. What's going to happen then?
I ain't buying it. And I think Charles would be a banger. I think Charles would be a sick
I think they're both
fight.
great fights. But the dude who's on this, what's it, 12 in a row now?
He's getting the Conor. This can be Conor McGregor.
Islam. Yeah, no, like 14 or 15.
Conor McGregor.
Right.
What?
Ilya. This could be the Conor McGregor moment. If he just killed 2 featherweight legends to become a legend himself, literally by name, and now he beats Islam. He's in the Conor McGregor conversation in a way that nobody has been since. But I just don't see him beating Islam. That's the problem. And I think he could beat Charles.
But he doesn't become a McGregor by beating Charles.
No. The Charles fight doesn't get him there.
For sure not.
The Charles fight doesn't get him there. The Islam fight gets him there.
I can't believe you said you're more into that fight. It's a great.
It's a competitive
It's an
fight.
amazing plan B.
That's a classic.
It's amazing plan B. Well, one is like
that's textbook, Rick.
What? 145 champ, 155 champ coming
It
together.
might be in the Rick highlight reel.
By the way,
honestly.
can I just add? Wait, can I just add? Georgia versus Russia and all that. That's going on. Like
This is all great build. This is fantastic. Then the fight happens, and then what?
oh my god.
Then the fight happens, and then what?
Volk came
How
up
dare
and
you
was incredibly
del
competitive.
leyenda.
Ilya can also be
Then the
competitive.
fight happens, and then what? Islam, man.
Islam handed a rose at the end. Thank you.
Exactly. Cup of
Oh my
tea.
god. Could you?
You
imagine
thought Islam's gonna be like, oh, you thought this is gonna be it for you. You thought you were Conor. I don't see it. I think Charles is a better fight. That's how I'd position that. I'd rather see it because I think it's a better fight. But I think both of those are box office. Islam just a little bit more. But I think both of those are box office. In fact, I think Boys in the Back, I was like, would you buy Charles and Ilya as a fight week headliner? And I said, yes, 100% I would. Belt or no belt,
I'd take it, but
belt or
it's
no
a problem.
belt. I don't care.
Yeah, but it's the dangling carrot that
Yeah.
you can't look past, you know?
Yeah.
My opinion.
The good news is, it seems like we'll have a few more days to talk about all of this. So we'll put a pin
Oh, great.
in that discussion for now. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.